So whenever we're talking about Overwatch 2 and its meta heroes, especially ones that are overpowered or overtuned, they tend to be talked about the ones that are used the most during ranked play, especially in the higher tiers of Overwatch 2. Currently we have Sojourn, Kiriko, and Roadhog dominating the meta, and of course with that comes many requests of players wanting those characters to be changed, nerfed, or reworked in order to not be such a dominating force. And we are going to continue hearing about these heroes and how overpowered they are until Blizzard does eventually add some sort of patch that will change these characters for the better. However, there is one hero that is showing their absolute dominance in the meta, even though they've actually escaped a lot of the scrutiny that comes with many other meta heroes. And of course I'm talking about Lucio. And personally, I believe that Lucio is actually an example of what I like to call the perfect support. And let me explain myself. But first off, let me just elaborate the fact that I am by no means an Overwatch expert. I've only been playing Overwatch for 2 years. 1 year of Overwatch 1 and whatever time I have been playing with Overwatch 2. So I really don't have that much experience when it comes to talking about Overwatch. However, I think that I actually found something that is kind of worth talking about. And that has to do with Lucio's design as a support hero and why I think Lucio should be kind of like a support standard. Because personally, I do find it a little bit strange that out of all the heroes that everybody's complaining about, the fact that Lucio is dominating the meta in professional play and also high ranked play, but doesn't get the same amount of scrutiny as Kiriko, Sojourn, and Roadhog, there has to be something about it. I mean, obviously, from the top of my head, we already have a couple of things that Lucio lacks that other heroes do have that could cause that kind of frustration. Lucio doesn't really have a get out of jail free card. He does risk the run of getting killed anytime he's off sides. His healing is very bogged down compared to many other supports in the game who can do way more amounts of healing compared to him. He doesn't one-hit anybody from across the map or hook people off into their deaths. He just moves really fast, boops people around, and supports his team with some extra speed. Which you probably wouldn't think would be that valuable of a trait, but it is, otherwise people wouldn't be using him. And speed in any game tends to be a really good utility. You get to the front lines faster and you get to move a little bit faster during a fight. It might seem a little benign at the moment, but that change of speed could definitely cause somebody to mess up a shot or two, which could be the difference between dying or living. And that's why I think Lucio is such a great standard for a support, because he actually supports his team, which I don't think healing does. And I know I might be confusing you a little, so let me explain. In any first-person shooter, doesn't matter which one it is, taking damage is seen as doing a mistake. You should be trying to take as minimal amount of damage as possible, not trying to sponge it all up. So if we consider taking damage as a mistake, then healing is nothing more than correcting a mistake. And so in my opinion, it's very hard to call a support hero a support if all they do is immense amounts of healing. Because at the end of the day, they're not really supporting their team, they're just correcting their mistakes. And that goes for a lot of abilities. Ana's Bio Grenade when it's used with a teammate, Mercy's Revive, Kiriko's Cleanse, just to name a few. It's all just correcting mistakes. They're not really supporting their team. And sure, you could argue that it's all just semantics. But in my opinion, someone who supports somebody else isn't somebody who corrects their mistakes for them. Your teammate should already be trying to preserve their own health. You shouldn't be doing their job for them. Of course, that's easier said than done, but you get my point. Lucio, on the other hand, doesn't have that kind of support, quote unquote. His speed boost is just that of pure utility. It doesn't automatically give you an edge against the enemy. It requires your teammates to actually capitalize on that speed boost. So at the end of the day, you're not actually doing your teammates' job for them. Whether or not your teammates actually are able to capitalize on that speed boost is entirely dependent on how your team performs. And that's what I think the support role should strive to be for, rather than just being DPS 2 or just Crutch Central. And yeah, sure, Lucio does have a healing factor as well, that does, even in regular matches, sometimes out-heal the other support. However, if you tell anybody in the Overwatch community that you play Lucio and you never use your speed boost, and are always on that healing, they will most definitely tell you you are throwing. Lucio's greatest tool is that utility of speed boost. It is something that is constantly helping your team no matter where, inside or outside a fight. Do you need your teammates to get to the front lines faster? Use your speed boost. You need your team to dive and collapse on the enemy very efficiently? Use your speed boost. Do you need to quickly retreat to avoid an enemy team's ultimate stacking? Use your speed boost. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing that Lucio has going for him, obviously not. His primary fire, his high mobility, and his boops allow him to be an annoying pest as well. But again, people don't really expect Lucio to do the job for them. It still requires your teammates to capitalize on it in order to be the most effective. Which again, should be what a support role is. Lucio really only has one ability that actually corrects a mistake if needed, and that's his ultimate ability. But honestly, that's more of just a necessary evil of the thing. It would really suck if Lucio just didn't have that ability, because otherwise he'd be fundamentally underpowered. Though I'd still be pretty confident that he'd be high tier, as his utility just can't be beat. And it really goes to show just how well designed Lucio was. I mean, he's one of the few characters who translated very well to Overwatch 2, with little to no changes, and he's in the meta. Just goes to show you how fundamentally good Lucio is. And of course, aside from the occasional boop and the annoying factor of Lucio, you're really not going to hear that much negativity thrown at him. He's not hated in such a way that it causes people to petition for Blizzard to change his stats. Yet he is still one of the most powerful heroes in the game. And I am pretty glad that Blizzard isn't looking at the data and deciding to nerf him in the future. At least that's what I'm hoping. Please, don't let that happen. Anyways, there's only two other heroes who kind of have that same, constant feel to them as far as supports go. And that's Zenyatta with his Discord Orb, which again, kind of still requires your teammates to capitalize on them. Otherwise, if you as a Zenyatta try to capitalize on your own orb, you're most likely gonna die. You're a glass cannon after all, and this is Overwatch 2. And we also have Mercy, funnily enough. I mean, if she didn't have her res ability, then yeah, she would also be kind of like that perfect support. And that's because of her damage boost, which is what many people primarily use it for in the higher tiers of ranked play. She is not played like a heal bot. She is used as consistent damage support. Of course, aside from her, resurrect ability, but if that was out of the picture, again, it would be a lot better. Obviously, I don't think Blizzard is gonna change her anytime soon because that would just ruin her entire shtick of being this kind of guardian angel, but that's not here nor there. But anyways, now I'd like to hear from you. What is your opinion on this video? What do you think about my opinions on Lucio? Do you also think that Lucio is the perfect support, or do you think I'm just kind of pulling stuff out of my ass? Do you agree with my sentiment that other supports are really just kind of correcting people's mistakes rather than actually supporting them? Or do you think healing is inherently also a form of support rather than just correcting people's mistakes? Please leave your opinion down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. If you'd like to see more content just like this, make sure to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, I do have a Patreon in the description. Thank you so much, my fellow patrons, and I will talk to you guys later.